Ever get that feeling that something's just off? Like someone in your life isn't being straight with you? You know, maybe a coworker, a friend, or even a family member? Someone who smiles to your face but seems to radiate negativity when you're not looking? We're talking about those subtle signs, those red flags that tell us someone might not be as thrilled to see us as they pretend to be. Because let's face it, not everyone is comfortable being direct with their feelings. Some people would rather swallow glass than tell you they don't like you. So how do you know if someone is secretly harboring negative feelings towards you? Well, that's what we're going to dive into today. We're going to unpack 10 revealing signs that someone might secretly dislike you. And trust me, you'll want to pay attention because recognizing these signs can save you a whole lot of heartache and confusion down the line. Let's talk about eye contact, or rather, the lack thereof. You're talking to someone, and their eyes are darting around the room like they're looking for the nearest exit. They're checking their phone, fiddling with their watch, suddenly fascinated by the pattern on the floor, anything but looking you in the eye. Now, let's be clear, not everyone who avoids eye contact is secretly plotting against you. Some people are just naturally shy or uncomfortable with prolonged eye contact. But if someone consistently avoids making eye contact with you, especially when you're trying to have a conversation, it's a major red flag. We make eye contact with people we trust, people we respect, people we want to connect with. So when someone can't even bring themselves to meet your gaze, it suggests a lack of comfort, a lack of connection, and yes, potentially even a dislike. Pay attention to those patterns. Is this a one-time thing, or is it a consistent pattern of behavior? Because if someone is constantly looking for an escape route when you're around, it might be time to face the music. Okay, so we've talked about the eyes, but what about the rest of the body? Because let me tell you, our bodies are expert communicators, even when we're trying to keep our true feelings under wraps. We're talking about closed-off body language, the kind that screams, "Stay away," without saying a single word. Think crossed arms, a turned-away stance, feet pointed towards the door. Basically, anything that creates a physical barrier between you and the other person. When you start to see a pattern of closed-off body language, it's time to pay attention. When we're engaged with someone, when we enjoy their company, our bodies naturally gravitate towards them. But when someone consistently closes themselves off physically, it's like they're putting up a wall between you. So the next time you're interacting with someone, take a moment to observe their body language. All right, let's talk about conversations. You know those conversations that feel like pulling teeth? Where you're putting in all the effort, asking questions, sharing stories, and all you get back are one-word answers, grunts of acknowledgement, and the occasional awkward silence? Yeah, those conversations are the worst. And while it's possible that the person you're talking to is just having an off day, or maybe they're naturally quiet, if it's a recurring theme, it's time to face the music. They might just not be that into you. When we're interested in someone, when we enjoy their company, we want to talk to them. But when someone consistently gives you short, clipped responses, it's like they're trying to shut down the conversation as quickly as possible. So pay attention to how people respond when you try to engage with them. Because if someone is constantly giving you the conversational cold shoulder, it might be time to take the hint and move on to someone who actually wants to talk to you. Okay, so we've talked about eye contact, body language, and conversations. Now let's talk about something a little broader. General engagement. Because here's the thing, when someone genuinely enjoys your company, they'll show it through their actions, not just their words. They'll engage with you in conversations. They'll be interested in your life. They'll make an effort to spend time with you. On the other hand, when someone is constantly disengaged, it's like they're mentally checked out of the relationship. They're physically present, but their mind is a million miles away. When someone consistently shows a lack of interest in your life, it's a major red flag. You know that feeling you get when you're talking to someone, and everything they say seems to have a negative undertone? Like they can't say anything nice, even if their life depended on it? We're talking about that subtle negativity that seeps into their words, their tone, their entire demeanor. It's like they're looking for the cloud in every silver lining, the rain on every parade. Now, some people are just naturally pessimistic. They see the world through a glass half-empty lens. But there's a difference between being a realist and being a chronic downer. And when someone consistently uses a negative tone with you, especially when you're trying to share something positive, it can be a sign that they're not exactly thrilled about your happiness. So pay attention to how people respond when you share good news or express excitement about something. Because if someone's default setting is negativity, especially when it comes to you and your life, it might be time to create some distance. Let's talk about avoidance. You know, that thing people do when they'd rather eat dirt than spend time with you? Yeah, that. We're not talking about a one-time rain check because someone's got a cold. We're talking about consistent, deliberate efforts to avoid you like the plague. Think canceled plans at the last minute, forgotten invitations, conveniently busy schedules whenever you suggest getting together. Now, there are plenty of reasons why someone might avoid you that have nothing to do with dislike. Maybe they're going through a tough time. Maybe they're overwhelmed with work or family obligations. But when someone consistently goes out of their way to avoid you, it's time to face the music. They might be trying to tell you something without actually saying it. So, pay attention to how people respond when you invite them to things. Let's talk about gossip. You know, that juicy behind-your-back chatter that spreads like wildfire through social circles? Yeah, that. Now, a little harmless gossip never hurt anyone. But when you find out that someone is consistently talking about you behind your back, especially in a negative light, it's a surefire sign that they're not exactly your biggest fan. When we care about someone, when we respect them, we don't go around spreading rumors and negativity. But when someone is constantly bad-mouthing you to others, it shows a lack of respect, a lack of integrity, and yes, a lack of basic human decency. Now, I'm not saying you should go around policing every conversation that happens behind your back. But if you find out that someone is consistently spreading negativity about you, it's time to have a serious conversation with yourself about whether or not this is a person you want in your life. Because life's too short to waste on people who talk trash behind your back. Let's talk about support, or rather, the lack thereof. Because here's the thing, true friends, family members, and loved ones are your biggest cheerleaders. They're the ones who are there for you through thick and thin, the ones who celebrate your victories and offer a shoulder to cry on during your defeats. So when someone is consistently unsupportive, when they're indifferent to your accomplishments or dismissive of your struggles, it can be a sign that they're not as invested in your well-being as you might have thought. Maybe they're threatened by your success. Maybe they're resentful of your happiness. Whatever the reason, it's important to recognize that this lack of support can be incredibly damaging, especially over time. So pay attention to who shows up for you when it matters most. Let's talk about smiles. You know, those things we do with our faces to show happiness, amusement, or just plain politeness? Yeah, those. Now, a genuine smile is a beautiful thing. It lights up a room, it's contagious, and it has the power to instantly lift our spirits. But then, there are those other smiles, the ones that don't quite reach the eyes, the ones that seem forced, strained, or downright insincere. We've all seen them. These are the smiles that tell a different story, the ones that reveal a disconnect between what someone is saying and what they're actually feeling. So pay attention to the smiles you see. Let's talk about communication, or rather the changes in communication that can signal a shift in a relationship. Because here's the thing, relationships are constantly evolving, and so too are the ways we communicate with each other. Sometimes these changes are positive. Maybe you're growing closer to someone and your conversations become deeper and more meaningful. But then there are those other times, the times when the changes in communication signal something less than ideal. Maybe you used to talk to someone every day, and now you're lucky if you get a text back once a week. These changes, while often subtle, can be incredibly telling, because sometimes the silences speak louder than words. So, there you have it, 10 signs that someone might secretly dislike you. Now, I want to be clear that these signs are not foolproof. There could be other explanations for someone's behavior, and it's important to consider the context of your relationship before jumping to conclusions. But if you're noticing several of these signs in someone's behavior, and if your gut is telling you that something's not right, it's worth paying attention to your intuition. Remember, you deserve to be surrounded by people who genuinely care about you, people who make you feel good about yourself, people who bring joy and positivity into your life. Don't waste your time and energy on people who don't reciprocate your feelings or who consistently make you feel bad about yourself. Life's too short for that.